right. So today's webinar, we'll do a round of introductions for our folks here that are in DATCAP, and then we'll go over a budget update from that Mark will provide and provide a general grant overview and the resources that are available to support that. And then at the end of the call, we'll do an open question and answer session. So with that, maybe we'll start with Mark, if you'd like to just give an introduction.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Mark Wittek. I'm the Soil and Watershed Conservation Section Manager here at DATCAP. So I work with Danny and the producer-led program and also oversee nutrient management and our soil health programming here at DATCAP.
Thanks, Mark. Susan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Susan Mockert. I'm the Conservation Units Grant Manager here at DATCAP, and I am kind of provide financial resource support for the producer-led group. And have been involved in the program since it started. So it's been fun to watch the whole thing develop over the years.
Awesome. Shauna?
Thanks, Danny. Hi, everyone. I'm the program assistant in our section here, and this will be my second year that I'm helping out with processing the reimbursement requests for producer-led. So happy to be here.
All right, thanks, Shauna. And I know Randy was planning or was hoping to jump on the call. I'm not sure if he's been able to hop on yet.
Yep, I'm here, Danny.
Good.
Randy Zotbar, I'm the soil health specialist, and I do the conservation tracking for the producer-led program.
Thanks, Randy. And Wrangler Jones, would you mind introducing yourself and a little bit about your position? Hopefully. I know he's in the field today and was hoping to jump on the call. He had mentioned that he'd be able to early.
Are you talking
yes,
to
please.
Me?
You bet.
Okay.
Would you introduce yourself?
Jumped on and yeah. All right. My name's Wrangler. I'm just getting done with the field day here, so just jumped on the phone here quick. But yeah, my name's Wrangler Jones. I'm the new conservation agronomist with DATCAP. I'll be working a lot with the producer-led groups and on the nutrient management side. A little background: I spent the last 5 years in the ag retail world, and then on the side, I do some farming on the side as well. So that's kind of what I'll be doing. And if you guys have any questions or need help with anything, just don't be afraid to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks, Wrangler. We're really excited to have you out in the field and be accessible to the producers and the producer-led groups. So with that, Mark, would you like to provide us with a budget update for the 2025 grant cycle?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, and I will try and keep this brief for folks. But right now, the budget process, which next year will be a budget year, so we'll be due for a new biennial budget for the state. Right now, the process is really kicking off still at the agency level, where the agencies are preparing their budgets. We'll be sending them to the governor's office in the next couple months, and then the governor will prepare his proposed budget early 2025, usually January, February time frame, and then the legislature will take the governor's budget and either start from scratch or amend that budget and try and come to some reconciliation there. So really, we're still fairly early in the budget process. Of course, in the last budget, producer-led was continued to be funded for $1 million per year. During that time frame, though, just in the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen pretty tremendous growth in the program. I think from 30-ish groups we were at just a few years ago now to 47. We expect will likely be over 50 after this current application period. And last year, our requests totaled about 1.6 million. So we were about 600,000 over budget in a request. So the point being that, we're going into a budget cycle. It's tough to say, what the priorities for the governor or the legislature will be. But there has been a lot of support for this program out there. And I think the fact that we've seen such tremendous growth and such an oversubscription for the funds, will hopefully demonstrate to policymakers that, good program. There's a lot of support out there. There's a lot of demand, and the groups are doing fantastic work. So we'll all have to sit back and watch and see what the budget process looks like. But I just want to encourage folks. I know, we've had to make some cuts those last couple of years because of that strong demand for funding. I would say, come to us with your full proposals. Don't dial them back. Propose to us what you think you can deliver, if that's the full 40,000. And I think that only helps demonstrate that there is a continued demand for funding from the groups out there. So just wanted to update everyone kind of where we're at in the budget process, what comes next, and to kind of pay attention to the budget process over the next year. We'll kind of see where we land with funding for the producer-led program. But the good news is that I would say we've gotten a lot of questions on the program, just in terms of accomplishments. Lots of requests from partners, from folks working with the program, and so it seems like folks are starting to line up to try and help advocate for the program. So we will see what the next year brings, though.
Thanks, Mark. It certainly seems like there's a lot of buzz in the field when we attend any events, and lots of support from both the producer-led groups and supporting agencies and organizations. So yeah, very exciting. So we will move, excuse me, we'll move into just a general overview and timeline of the grant. As you know, the requests for proposals have been released, and they are available on the producer-led webpage. And the applications are due September 13th at 5:00 p.m. And then when we will get to the next one of the next slides, but there is an address, an email address, there we go, that you can specifically send those to, or they can be forwarded to me. And then there's a selection process and the ranking that we go through following the application deadline, and the award letters for the funding will be sent out in November. And at that time, we just need your acceptance letter sent back, and then the funding is available, same with the calendar year, so January 1st through December 31st. And then it is each producer-led group's responsibility to follow through on their own work plan and keep track of their receipts, the attendance from any meetings, and all of the great work that you're doing in the field. So really keep track of those throughout the year. And then so any funding extension request would be due December 31st. And that is the same for this year also. So if you have 2024 funding that you anticipate you may not spend all of it, and you'd like to extend that into 2025, those requests are due by December 31st. And then our workshop it will be held again in February this year. Save the date will be coming out in the next month or so. And annual reports are due in mid-February, so along with the final reimbursement requests. We can submit reimbursements twice a year, and if you have any questions with those along the way, you certainly can reach out to Shauna or Susan, and they're both happy to help. So as I mentioned, this is the email address for the applications to be submitted to. And just a reminder that it is a water quality program, and so we really want to focus on our efforts to enhance water quality and the watershed health. So really laying out those improvements and all the activities that support that throughout the year will be really important in the application. And again, it being producer-led, focus on the producer-led activities and how the producers are really supporting the initiatives and the changes happening on the landscape. And keeping in mind, it is a reimbursement grant, so there aren't any upfront payments made, but there are reimbursements that can be allowed up to twice a year. And as we talk about funding priorities, Mark touched on a few of those, but really helping to uplift and promote the conservation practices that each group has done throughout the year. Encourage or include those in the application. Any education efforts and outreach are really important. Any support that you maybe helped new groups form or done collaborative efforts with, um, and how we're continuing to build upon the previous conservation practices by either getting, more in depth, more complex. An example might be going from single species covers to multi-species. So really be sure to uplift and draw attention to those kinds of things in your application and demonstrate the innovation that's happening on the landscape. We really are excited to read these stories and read the applications. So there's a screenshot here of the main producer-led web page. And so you can see on the top right corner where the request for proposals and the link to the application are available. Below that, there's a box that lists out the grant forms and resources. If you click that box, it will take you to the several different forms that are available, including the extension requests, the budget change forms, and conservation tracking sheets that are all part of the process throughout the year. And then any of the grant resources that you might find helpful, especially as we're coming into the final stretch. And if you're still maybe looking for some ideas on how to write the grant or enhance the grant a little bit, there's past webinars, there's application guide, and some frequently asked questions that might help you there. So we can leave contact information up, and with that, we'd love to take any questions that you all might have. If you give us no questions, this is going to be a really easy webinar, which I'll be happy to take, but I know I've received several questions via email or direct calls, and they've all been really good and really helping to demonstrate how complex some of the practices are and the different funding requests. So I'm excited to keep seeing what questions come forward. And Kirsten, thanks for putting your hand up. What do we have?
Yeah, thanks, Danny. So you've mentioned that I have a really bad echo. Do you guys hear that?
No.
Okay. Thank you. You mentioned that there's some group funds available through DATCAP for group activities when we have, maybe 3 to 5 producer-led watershed groups working together. Will those be available for 2025? And should we do outreach to you now so that we're including those, keeping those costs in mind as we move forward with our new grants?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And maybe Mark, you could touch on the funding aspect of that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So there is no guarantee that those funds will be available. They were kind of a one-time, but they also don't expire. So it is possible that the funds will be extended to 25 if they're not expended prior to that. Danny, I'm not sure if you remember, I think we have several $1,000s left in that pool of funds. So we still have enough to fund maybe 2 to 3 events. So I would say it would be better to approach us sooner rather than later, just because, yes, once those funds are gone, they were kind of a one-time part of a grant with the National Wildlife Federation and part of an EPA grant as well. And when they're gone, they're gone. We don't have continuous funding for the regional meetings.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Kirsten. And I do have yours, and then there's another one also that have come forth and wanted to talk a little bit about some regional gatherings that will happen a little bit later this year. So for sure, if we haven't had the conversation, I'd love to hear them and kind of work to develop out those plans. Anna?
Hey, Danny. You and I had talked a little bit about the importance of groups telling their stories in the grant. Could you maybe touch on what you mean by groups telling their stories in a grant application?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So we've been able to show growth a lot through the program, through typically acres and membership numbers. And as you know, as you and I have talked about, and I've shared with a few other groups also in conversation, is as some of the groups start to kind of hit this maturity, we're just not seeing those huge increases in acres and members as much as we had in previous years. So I think it's an opportunity to start telling the stories of maybe how we're how we're doing some cross collaborating and really maybe bringing some other groups in the fold. Maybe you're helping to develop another group or working with a youth organization like an FFA, or different ways that you're collaborating and maybe um, strengthening that fabric and that richness of each of the groups. So really talk through, don't hesitate to call attention to those ways that we're growing in different ways, right? So depth and capacity for the groups. Any more questions? I also would like to uh, just send out a reminder that we have the two grants from the Nature Conservancy available also. So just drawing attention to those, the one that's available for $10,000 in conservation practice. And then there's also a new conservation innovation grant that's available for up to $22,500. And that second grant, that is, there will be just one group that's selected for that. Um, and so both of those, we've sent out an email and I'll continue to send out again before the deadline, but they also have the same September 13th deadline this year. Okay. Well, as always, if there's other questions, don't hesitate to call or email, reach out to any of us and how we can help. And otherwise, thanks so much for joining us over your lunch hour, and we'll look forward to seeing the applications.